Hi, and welcome back to Chase's Everything Shooting. Today we're going to be speaking about concealed carry basics. Now, I'm assuming that you've already gotten your CCW or you're thinking about getting your CCW. But I'm going to go over some of the things that I've seen teaching some CCW classes that might be able to help you. Now, we're not going to go over all the different type of holsters and all that kind of stuff. Just don't have time to do that. I'll do that in another video. But I want to talk about some of the basics and some of the different guns and choosing your guns and those types of things. I'll touch a little bit on printing, but that's a minor thing. Now, one of the things I have to say is that I've had a CCW in the hardest state to carry a firearm, which is California, and I had it for 14 years. I've had a CCW out here in Texas for 2 years since I've moved. So I've got some experience carrying, and I'm going to give you information from my carry experiences, not other people's, from what I've experienced. So let's get to it. You know, the thing is choosing your handgun is a real important thing. Now, concealment's important too, but choosing the right firearm is super important. Now here we'll just show you I am carrying, okay? And I'm carrying a Glock 36, and you'll see I'm taking the magazine out. We're gonna put that here. We took the bullet out of the chamber, and we're going to open this up. So you can see that it is totally empty. Super important, super important. Okay, so this gun is my standard carry gun. It's a Glock 36. Now, it is a 45 in caliber, and we'll talk about calibers at the end. But this is my standard carry gun. I've gone through a lot of different carry guns, and they all have pluses and minuses. But what I'm going to say is that the most important thing that you do is you find a handgun that fits your hand. Now you'll notice here, when I put my hand on here and I come around, yeah, I've got a little bit of pinky loss here, right? Well, if you look at the end of the magazine, I have a little bit of rail down here, so I do have something to pull my pinky around. Now, my other magazines have an extender on the bottom here, and it takes it down a little bit farther. I can get one more in the magazine. Depending on how you set it up, I had to do some playing with it, but this is my standard. Now, am I gonna stay with a 45? I don't know. You know, I went to a 45 because I wanted the stopping power. But now that they've got all the good self-defense ammunitions, you know, I could flip over to a 9mm and still feel really safe. But again, we're gonna be talking about how to size the firearm. Now, one of the things that I really want to bring up is, hey, I'm a big guy. I got a little gut here. I'm big. I'm about 280 on weight. And so I can't just carry any firearm. And the smaller that they get, my hand won't fit around everything properly. It overlaps and it's hard to hold. You know, those types of things. So what I'm going to suggest to you is, before you make this decision, that you go to your local range. Most of them will have firearms for you to rent, and then shoot the different firearms and find out what you really like and what fits you well. Now, all my days of teaching CCW classes, you know, I've run across a couple of things, and I've run across women, and they have these firearms that are huge, and they're not fitted properly, and they get to the range and they have a hard time shooting it. And I went to them and I said, what made you pick this firearm? And one time the lady said, well, the color. And of course, what my comment was about that. But the rest of them said, oh, I chose that because my husband said that's what I should have. Okay, if there's women out here listening to this, do not, let me repeat, do not take your husband's advice on your firearm. Now, he may have advice for a brand, which is perfectly fine, and he may have advice on a series, but you need to go pick that firearm up and you need to take it to the range and you need to shoot it before you say, that's what I'm going to carry. It's so important that you do that. So women, don't take advice, go down and shoot them. Men, I'm going to tell you, grab your buddy, go down to your local range and rent them. The range that I used to send everybody to, they charge $35 and roughly you could shoot about 10 different firearms. You just had to shoot a few and take it back in and change and shoot a few. Now, you do need to bring your own ammunition. So if you're going to be shooting 45, take 45. If you're be shooting 9mm, take your 9mm. Don't take the expensive stuff because you don't want to shoot the defensive stuff through it yet. You just want to get a good feel for it. So then the next thing that we're going to talk about is just carry around the property. And what I do is when I go out hunting, I have, and I will show you this is a judge, okay? And so I'm going to step up and show you that my judge is totally empty. And we're going to close it. This is my concealed carry and open carry gun when I'm on my property or out hunting. And you go, well, why are you doing this? Well, what I do is this will shoot 410 shotgun shells and also 45 Colts. So I'll intermix 45 and 410s in there. That way, if I'm out hunting, I may have to take a couple of shots, but I can get whatever it's, out there or creating problems. I really call it my snake gun because I bought it because we've got rattlesnakes, and so when I'm out and doing things, I can just take care of them when I'm out there. So again, though, what I have on this gun, I have the bigger handle right here because of my hand. So if you can see that, is my hand totally goes around. And so it's a good, comfortable fit. And when I go to shoot, we're perfectly set. So it is super important. Again, you get the right grip for it. You get the right size grip. Now you can put different grips on different guns. Okay, they'll make it smaller or larger. Usually larger, but some you can go downwards. So again, you've got to really be thinking ahead when you go to pick your firearms that you're going to carry. Now, one of the things, this thing weighs a ton. And do I want to carry it a lot? No, I really don't. I don't really enjoy carrying this. I do carry it, but I don't really enjoy it because it's so heavy. It weighs down my side. If I've got it on my chest, it's just a heavy firearm. But again, if you've made this commitment to carry, you need to know the firearm you're carrying and know that it's going to create some weight on your belt or inside your belt. Okay, so I'm going to put this down over here, and we're going to talk about different things different firearms, that you can be looking at in order to purchase. Now, there are many makes and models out there to choose from. And you can be a revolver person, you can be a semi-automatic person. I'm a revolver person for my Judge because I think that's really good for what I use it for. My everyday carry, I'm a semi-automatic fan. Mine's a Glock 36. So that's one of the things you have to choose and you need to be comfortable with. But let's kind of go over some of the top concealed carry firearms that I think are really good and some firearms you should look at. The first one I would really say would be the Sig Sauer P238 or the P365. And Sig Sauer makes a phenomenal firearm. Their quality's good. Both of those are concealable very, very easily, but they're big enough that if you have a large hand, you know, it doesn't get lost in your hand. So that's a real good one to think about. Now, my favorite out there is the Springfield Hellcat or the XDMS, which is it's the small XD, but it's a single stack. That one was a phenomenal firearm. I really, really enjoyed having that one. I did sell it off because a buddy of mine wanted it and whatever, but I did have that and I really enjoyed it. The new Hellcat I have not put in my hand yet. I've talked to a bunch of my buddies that are carrying it now and they really, really like it. They like the quality. They say it's the quality equal to a Sig. Don't know if that's the case or not. I am a Springfield man, but I'm gonna have to try that one out myself. Now, the other is the Smith & Wesson Shield. My wife carries a Shield. A lot of my friends carry the Shields, 9mm. Most of them now are carrying the EZs. And the EZ is a little bit lighter retention on the spring. So it's easier to manipulate for someone who isn't really strong upper body and they have a hard time racking their firearm. My wife loves her EZ. Now, she does carry that concealed and it's not too heavy. It is still, again, it's still a heavy firearm, but not as bad as a lot. Now there's a Taurus GX4. Now that is a really nice firearm. I have not shot that firearm. There are some people I know that have, and they really enjoy that firearm. Not a big Taurus fan. I haven't been a big Taurus fan, but they have really cleaned up their quality, and I would say that's definitely something to think about. Now, one of the newest on the market right now is a Mossberg MC2SC. It is a very small, compact, compact firearm. It looks really nice. None of the stores around me or any of the ranges have even had a chance to get them yet. But that's something I want to look into. Mossberg's quality is always good. So that's something that's small, it works, and I think it'll be something that, you know, might be a good choice for you. The Ruger Max 9 is a very, very nice firearm. It's compact, it's very reliable, it's good Ruger quality, and you know, you can put a lot of shells through that and it'll just keep going and going and going. So another one to think about looking at. Now the last one on my list, well, there's going to be two more really, but the last one here is the Walther PDP. That is a really, really nice firearm. I'm a Walther fan. I have several Walthers. I think the quality is very, very good. And the fit and finish is very nice. It's compact. I'm going to say the Walthers mostly are a little bit small for my hand, but it might fit your hand perfect. Then I'm going to bring up the Glock. Now, a lot of people, Glock, it's just a firearm that's cheap and this and that. Well, it's really not that cheap, but I will tell you, it's a firearm that works. The highway patrols, the police departments, they wouldn't be carrying that firearm if it wasn't a phenomenal firearm. So look at the 43s, look at the Glock 36s, depending on your calibers, and move forward with that. But again, go out and take this list. You can check on the internet. There's a lot of people out there that are shooting these and talking about them. I'm not going to go out and get ballistic gel and shoot them and do all that kind of stuff. That's not my thing, you know. I don't want to rate firearms, but I will give you the list of firearms that I feel very comfortable are good quality firearms that you can put your life on. And that's something you need to think about. When someone says, you know, you don't need to spend $400 on a firearm, get this $150 one. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to carry it and you're going to put your life on the line for that firearm, you better buy good quality. Let me say that again. If you're going to put your life on the line, buy good quality. If you can't afford it today, put it off another month or two. Get the good quality. Your life is worth that. Okay, so I've gone through a list of firearms that are very, very good concealed carry firearms. There's one thing I do want to bring up, and in my classes, I really have, it's been kind of enjoyable, but it's also a little scary. There are people who have come to the class that have purchased these compact 1911 firearms. And you know what? Kimber makes them. There's a lot of companies that make them. Springfield, a lot of companies. Here's the thing. If you're not competent enough to take your firearm out as you're drawing, flipping your thumb safety off and moving forward, don't buy a firearm that has a thumb safety, okay? Don't do it. I've seen it many, many times when they've come to the range. They'll pull their gun and they'll bring it forward, and then they're trying to flip their safety up. Hey, you don't have time to think about that. It's got to be a reaction. And that's one of the things that I really have to push is if you're going to carry a firearm that has a thumb safety, then you need to be practicing, and it needs to be one fluid movement. Draw, flip before you even get it out of here and up. Super, super important. I've seen more people flunk the class because they were not competent in their draws. And your draws are super, super important when you're concealed. Now, I will tell you, when I first got my concealed, I watched TV, and what I did is I would draw 100 times. Practicing, making each movement the same every time, and just getting used to doing what I was doing. Along with that, I think it's super important to get more training. Take the extra courses, get more educated with your firearm. They'll put you through the paces, and they'll teach you how to use that firearm and the good motions that you need to draw your holster and to put your holster back in. Put your holster back in. What am I talking about? Putting your firearm back in your holster. Now, I'm not going to talk about carrying and wear. I am going to say that I am not an abdomen carrier. I'm not going to carry anything shooting down toward my junk. Okay? Now, a lot of people really like that. I'll give you a quick, brief story that came from a doctor that I personally know, an ER surgeon that I personally know. He had a client come into the ER that it was his bachelor party and they were out drinking. Bad thing. Why is he carrying this firearm while he's drinking? That's the first big mistake. But then he was carrying on his abdomen. So someone asked him about his firearm and he pulled his firearm out and said, "This is what I carry," and showed him his firearm, which I think is stupidity in its own, but he did that. Then on his way back down, he stuck it in his abdomen and he got a discharge. Well, let me tell you. Well, let me see how I can put this where YouTube doesn't block this. It blew part of his junk off. Now he's getting married the next day and he had part of his junk blown off. Not good. I am not an abdomen fan. I think that 3-4 position, three or four is really the position for me. But you have to pick what's comfortable for you. I sit with it on my side in my truck, whatever. I don't have a problem with that. But just again, don't let someone tell you this is the best position. This is what you should be doing. You need to figure out what works for you. Now that you've chosen your firearm and you've figured out what you want to carry, I'm going to say to you, this is a huge responsibility. Huge. And you need to take it that way. You are getting the opportunity to carry a firearm in public. And so don't do anything that would come back and create the rest of us to have a problem renewing our CCWs or getting them in the first place. So we've gone through a lot of items here. Caliber, I'm going to touch on that real quick right now. You know what? Caliber is your choice. If you're comfortable with a 9mm, then do 9mm. If you're comfortable with 45, that's fine. If you're comfortable with a 357, probably wouldn't do it because you can't get them small enough, but then carry that. I would not carry a 22. Most states don't allow it. And then I wouldn't carry a 380. Now 380s are getting better. And if you look at the diameter of the bullet and it's very close to a 9mm and I just feel that it isn't quite there yet. They're working on good self-defense ammunition for that, and it may come around. They may be able to raise those case pressures, and get a little bit faster flight and give you a little bit better mass when it opens up. That's coming, I'm sure. This industry changes frequently, but something to think about in the future. Again, go to the range, fire those firearms, and figure out what you really, really want. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Please subscribe and hit like. If you don't want to subscribe, that's fine, that's cool. But if you hit like, that helps me with the algorithm, and that gets more shooters to be able to see my posts when I post. Hey, thanks again. Don't forget, Chase is everything shooting. Have a good one.